It is that time of year, everybody, and the preseason preview is upon us. The preseason is starting in 2 days as the Leafs host the Montreal Canadiens at Scotiabank Arena at 7 o'clock. I know Toronto sports right now is all focused on the Toronto Blue Jays, and I get that, but as we know, hockey is right around the corner. The weather's starting to change a little bit. It's getting a little bit cooler outside, so we're all kind of getting ready to get our hockey jerseys on and get ready for the season, even though Leaf fans, including myself, are in very weird states right now, right? Going off of what happened last year, we're all, even at this point in the year, we're all like, we don't even want to think about this team right now, right? Because it's like they have humiliated us and made us depressed so many damn times that I'm scared to cheer for them, but I always will. And going into this year, there are a lot of changes from last season, on and off the ice. Well, James, what do you mean by that? Well, okay, let's start with the off-ice stuff. First off, there's no Canadian division. So you're going back to the Atlantic Division format, I believe, is what we've seen in years past. And if you look at that division, you got the defending Stanley Cup champions. You get the Boston Bruins, who are always going to be there. You got the, obviously, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Montreal Canadiens went to the flippin' Cup Finals. I don't care, the changes that happened. They lost Kotkaniemi, blah, blah, blah. They brought in some good players as well, so they're going to be a good team. And oh yeah, the Florida Panthers were a 100-point team last year. And then you got, Buffalo and Detroit, but Ottawa's going to be better this year. They were really good to end the year. They're going to be a much better hockey team this year. Buffalo's terrible. Detroit still about a year or two away from getting to that level. So there's no cakewalk in the division. There's no, all right, let's just wait till the playoffs, because there's no guarantees this year. So that's the scary part about the changes that have happened off the ice in the season. But you gotta beat the good teams to be a great team, right? That's just the way it has to be in sports. And for the Leafs, if you're going to get tested in this crazy division and you can find a way to build yourself up and to have a great regular season and make the playoffs, Leaf fans will still always say, including myself, do it in the playoffs, please. Because I don't care about the regular season a whole lot. Another change that's going to be made, it seems that the Leafs, well, obviously they were in Scotiabank Arena last year, but it seems like they're going to be there with fans. And the question is, how many fans are going to be there? I think they're trying to get full capacity. I don't see that happening, but if it does, that's good for the MLS organization. It's good for the Leaf fans because you get to go watch the team play, whether you want to or not. And it's just a better atmosphere with fans in the stands. And we haven't seen that for a year and a half now. Or I guess a year and a half hockey-wise, a full season and a half. So it's pretty wild. And I'd love to see fans, because watching our playoff series last year against Montreal and then watching, teams in the States have jammed arenas, and I'm like, this sucks, man. So it seems like it's going to get back to more or less normal when it comes to that, which is great news. Now let's get to the on-ice stuff. Because there have been a lot of changes with this Leaf team. And I'm going to start right away with the goaltending. Obviously, we know Frederik Andersen left the team. He went to the Carolina Hurricanes. And what did the Leafs do? They signed the Carolina Hurricanes old goaltender, Peter Mrazek. What does that mean for guys like Jack Campbell? He just put together a crazy season last year. Again, it's COVID year, no fans in the stands. You're playing in the Canadian division. It's like, what do you, how much do you take from that? Well, he did a job, and he was unbelievable. Once Frederik Andersen went down, he kind of took the reins, and you needed him to be good. He was, better than good. But bringing in a Peter Mrazek, there's no guarantees for Jack Campbell. So how do you think this is going to play out, Leaf fans? Let me know in the comments below. This is really for me to pose a bunch of topics and for you guys to go nuts in the comments, all right? I mentioned losing Frederik Andersen. They also lost quite a few other guys. Guys like Zach Bogosian left the team. I believe he went back to Tampa. Joe Thornton's gone. We all know he didn't really have a great year. He went to the Florida Panthers, which usually means, finish off the career. That's usually what happens in Florida. And of course, the biggest one, the one that's going to hurt Leaf fans the most right here, is Zach Hyman going to the Edmonton Oilers. Now, for the term and for the money, that's a lot of money for Zach Hyman. He's a great player, and that's going to be a great contract for a few years. But he banged his body around a lot. So we'll see how it looks in the latter half of that contract. But You lost some big name guys, or a lot of household names that Leaf fans loved. I don't care what people say about Frederik Andersen. People loved Freddie. Zach Hyman. People loved Zach Hyman. I don't know anybody who didn't like the way that guy played the game of hockey. It's unfortunate they're gone. And then who'd they bring in to replace these guys? Well, we know about Mrazek for Frederik Andersen. They bring in guys, I didn't write everybody's name down, but Michael Amadio, Michael Bunting, the Scarborough native, and Nick Ritchie were some of the names they brought in. They brought back Wayne Simmons, which kind of shocked me in a sense, but I think it was on a vet minimum deal, so it's like, whatever. And obviously Spezza came back as well, so it's going to be really interesting to see this preseason, because you're probably going to see a lot of mixing and matching on lines. You don't have that, this is your top six. No problem. We already know that, because that's now up in the air. You lost Zach Hyman, who was either your first or second line winger. And are they going to slap Amadio or Michael Bunting on the Matthews-Marner line? Or are they going to go Tavares Nylander and Nick Ritchie, right? How are they going to work these things in the preseason? I don't know. It's going to be a very odd preseason for sure. And I don't know how the season's going to go. I don't know how the start of the year is going to go, because there's going to be a lot of mixing and matching, a lot of changes being made with the roster and the lineups. It's going to be a pretty wild start to the year, at least from my opinion. And a guy that not really many people are talking about, and a guy that, had very high expectations and is arguably the Leafs' top prospect, Nick Robertson, who played in that Columbus series a year and a half back in the COVID year, and scored a goal and looked pretty good. He looked a little overmatched, but again, he was 19 years old at the time, so I understand that. Last year, he got a very brief chance to play with the Leafs, but I think in his first game or his second game, he blocks a shot and breaks something or did something with his leg or foot or whatever it was. And he was done for a long time. So you didn't really get to see Nick Robertson much at all last year. Is this the time that we see this kid get a legit chance to make the team and just go for it? Because there's lots of question marks with the lineup, with the roster. So if he goes out there with a good preseason, it would not surprise me if he makes the team out of camp and starts the year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because at this point, I read it somewhere, you don't want this guy to turn into Jeremy Bracco 2.0. Remember Jeremy Bracco, the right-handed shot winger down to the Marlies, who was leading the league in points, he was assist crazy, it was insane stuff. And I don't know what ended up happening there. It was like a rift between the management and him, or whatever the case may be, but where is he now? And you don't want that to happen with a guy like Nick Robertson. His stuff in the Peterborough Petes, he was scoring goals at will. He had great numbers in the Marlies in the AHL. When you see him in the NHL, he's got the speed, he's got the tenacity to play at the NHL level. The question is he going to get that opportunity this year? I don't know. And speaking of young players, is a guy like Rasmus Sandin going to finally get the chance to make this team and go full on? With losing a Zach Bogosian, is he going to slot in there and you're just going to kind of run him out there and see what happens? I don't know. That's why this preseason is going to be so wild, because there's going to be so many mixing and matchings going on with the lineups every single game. Now, that is what preseason is all about, of course. But even come regular season, I expect that stuff to happen as well. It's going to be wild. Now, let's go to a little bit of off-ice stuff. Austin Matthews, obviously the surgery that he had. He seems to be ready to go for opening night. Again, it's still not confirmed. He's not at training camp right now, so we'll have to all wait and see. And my take is this, and I've said it with every sports team, that I cover, and there's an injury in the preseason or the offseason, recovery from surgery or whatever. If Austin Matthews is not 100% going into game one, I don't want him playing. Period. I'd rather him wait 2 or 3 more games, be 100% and play the other, 79 games, rather than play the first game and give me about 60. Because he's been in and out of injury because he came back too soon, right? That's the last thing you want to deal with. So that's another question mark heading into the year. Morgan Rielly's contract is up at the end of this year. We've been hearing some rumblings lately about them wanting upwards of like $9 million, where Seth Jones is kind of sitting, right? And if you're the Leafs, you look at that contract of $9 million and you're like, I don't know about that. But if you let Morgan Rielly walk, what the hell do you do? Because then you literally have no defensemen left. You have some decent guys, but you don't have that top-notch dude, for offensively at least. So that would be a big loss. So that's a big question mark heading into the year. He's in a contract year. Is he going to, build up and be amazing like Marcus Semien is doing to the Toronto Blue Jays and Robbie Ray is doing to the Blue Jays? Or is he going to do a Frederik Andersen and not have a great year and maybe take a pay cut to stay or whatever the case may be? But for Morgan Rielly, this is a big year for him. And as I put down here, playoffs question mark, because there's no guarantees this year, man. There is no guarantees. There's a lot of good teams in the Atlantic Division. Question is, where are the Leafs going to sit? Now, I will bring up one thing before I wrap this up. Teams like the Washington Capitals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Tampa Bay Lightning, teams like that have had good players, lost good players, brought in maybe not the sexy names, but went on to win cups with those guys. You look at the Washington Capitals. Remember they had guys like Alex Semin, and they had Mike Green. Those are some big-time point totals they put up. Never made it past the second round. But they bring in guys like Brooks Orpik, and they bring in other guys who aren't going to be really flashy and put up 50, 60 points a year, but they want a cup. The Pittsburgh Penguins, how many times they have, lost guys and brought guys in, and they find a way to build those guys up, and they repeat as Stanley Cup champions and whatnot. So you got to find the right guys to work with your system, right? And obviously Zach Hyman was one of those guys. Bogosian was great. Freddie, it is what it is. But you bring in a guy like Michael Bunting, a Toronto native. Nick Ritchie, I believe, is a Toronto native as well. Amadio, I can't remember. They want to be here. I know Michael Bunting, a lot of people don't really know the name a whole lot, but this kid's going to be good, man. He's going to be a real hard-nosed guy to play against. And same with Nick Ritchie. Big body. He's going to be physical all over the place. Kind of reminds me of that JVR with less skill. That's my take on a guy like Nick Ritchie. You guys can agree, you can disagree, whatever. But I don't know what to expect, guys. I'm going to leave it with this. I have no idea what to expect this year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Last year was like, hey, make the playoffs. It seems like it's going to happen, no doubt. Even the last few years have been like that. But this year, I have no clue. All right, so you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video and you're happy to have hockey back, smack the like button to appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys are not already. Comment down below thoughts on the video, thoughts on if anything I missed. Also, Mitch Marner, Willie Nylander, how are they going to go? Mitch Marner, after all the debacle last year in the playoffs, how's he going to bounce back? Lots of question marks, guys. Let me know in the comments below anything you have to talk about when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Twitter is down below for myself. Send me a DM, all that great stuff. The Instagram link is down below, so follow up there. If you have not done so already, I will talk to you guys. Jays edition later tonight as they take on the Minnesota Twins in Game 1 of that 4-game series at Target Field. This is a big, big series for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees and the Red Sox both not in action today as they start their series against each other tomorrow. So for the Blue Jays, they got to do a job today. You win today, you're tied with the Yankees with the exact same record, the exact same games played, but you would jump them because you have the season series. Big game tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays. I believe it's Steven Matz versus Michael Pineda at Target Field. And as for the Leafs, I'm probably going to be doing a preseason video for you guys on Saturday night. Montreal Canadiens in town against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Whether the roster's going to look like, I don't know. But I'll talk about the highlights. It'll probably be short video no matter what. All the preseason games will probably be short videos because, again, it's preseason. It's like nothing to really dwell on too much. But it's a 7 o'clock puck drop there, Scotiabank Arena. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you guys then.